Hello dear aspirants, how are you all? I hope you all are doing good. So this is our second chapter of this environment. So first chapter we have already done, that is ecology. Now this is the second chapter, functions of an ecosystem. So first of all, we have already discussed what is ecosystem, what is environment, what is ecology. Now the second part is we will understand in detail the functions of an ecosystem. Okay, so let's come to the discussion. So the function of an ecosystem is what? It is a broad, vast and complete dynamic system. Okay, and again it can be studied under the three heads. First is energy flow, second nutrient cycle, that is biogeochemical cycles. Third one is ecological succession or ecosystem development. So to understand the function of an ecosystem, we must understand energy flow. Also we must know what is the cycle of nutrition or biogeochemical cycle, and the last part is ecological succession or ecosystem development. After understanding these three aspects, we will be in a position to completely understand the overall functions of ecosystem. So let's first start with the energy flow. So energy flow, it's a very important topic and most questions you will see from this even in the prelims and mains part. ठीक है, तो एनर्जी फ्लो क्या है? तो एनर्जी इज द बेसिक फोर्स रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर ऑल मेटाबॉलिक एक्टिविटीज दैट यू ऑल नो, like every human being, every animal, every living being is working on an energy process. ठीक है, and what is that energy? This is the metabolic activity. Now the flow of energy from producer, that is the plant, to top consumers, that is like carnivore, like you can say hawk, है ना, and like eagle. So they the complete flow of energy between the producer, between the producer, from the producer to the top consumer, is called the energy flow. And this should be noted that energy flow is always unidirectional. It cannot flow from the top consumer to the producer, but it will always flow from the producer to top consumer. Okay, isn't it? This line is very very important, because in many UPSC exams, state PCS exam and many other exams, you will find direct question from this line. But they have been asking ki energy, like they are giving one statement, energy flow is multidirectional or unidirectional. Okay, that can be a statement and you have to just tell the statement is right or wrong. So if you know that it is always unidirectional, that is the flow is from always from the producer to the top consumer, then you will definitely mark the correct answer. Then the study of trophic level interaction in an ecosystem gives an idea about the energy flow through the ecosystem. Now to understand completely the energy flow, we must first understand, or we must first study the trophic level interaction. So what is trophic? Trophic means nourishment, right? So nourishment can be of many kinds, like autotrophs and heterotrophs. Autotrophs may like producers, this is only one, that is the green plants. And heterotrophs may you have the like primary consumer, secondary consumer, tertiary consumer and a quaternary consumer. Okay, so from the green plant we'll move to the higher trophic level, that is heterotrophs, herbivore, which is also known as primary consumers. Then from primary consumers we move to next heterotrophs and carnivores, that is secondary consumer, then tertiary, and so on till quaternary. Okay, energy flows through the trophic level from producers to subsequent trophic levels. This energy flow always flows from lower producer to higher herbivore, carnivore, etc. We have already discussed this. It never flows in the reverse direction, that is from the carnivores to herbivores to producers. It is always from the producers to the carnivores. So that should be noted. Now, sorry. Now the second thing is, there is always a loss of some energy in the form of unusable heat. Okay, so that you all know the reduction of 10%, 10% reduction law. So at each trophic level, some energy is dissipated or it is decreased from the lower trophic level to the higher trophic level. As a result, they are always, you have 4 or 5 or maximum 6 trophic level. Beyond that, the energy is not left to further increase the chain. So trophic levels are numbered according to the steps an organism is away from the source of food or energy, that is the producer. Okay. Now again, trophic level is again divided into 3 concepts. Okay. Or you can say trophic level interaction involves 3 concepts. What are those? Food chain, food web, ecological pyramid. So this whole topic is very, very important from the exam point of view, and direct question you can see from each section. So just understand it very, very carefully. First, we come to the food chain. So that is the basic thing, basic interaction. So organisms in the ecosystem are related to each other through feeding mechanisms or trophic level. That you already know, that each and every one of us are somewhat related to each other because of their food habits, food patterns. Like a sequence of organisms that feed on one another form a food chain. Okay? Like you can know कि producers हैं, then after producers there is herbivore, then carnivore maybe you have secondary consumers, then carnivore maybe you have tertiary, then quaternary. So in that way you have a sequence of organisms that are feeding upon each other. So a food chain starts with producers and end with top consumers. So this is basic flow and transformation, that is from the food chain. It is starting from the producers and it is ending with the top carnivores. Now we come to the the sequence of eaten and being eaten produces transfer of food energy, and it is known as a food chain. So what exactly is a food chain? It is it is a sequence of eaten and being eaten produces transfer of food energy. This transfer of food energy is known as the food chain only. Okay? The plant converts solar energy into chemical energy by photosynthesis. Okay? So this is explaining the whole process of a food chain. What happened? The plant is just converting the solar energy into the chemical energy by the process of photosynthesis. Then the small herbivores are consuming these plant matter and converting them into the animal matter. Then again these herbivores are again eaten by the large carnivores. So in such a manner, in such a pattern, this is a kind of a chain which is known as a food chain. Okay? Now food chain are of 2 types. First is grazing and the second is, you can see, detritus food chain. What are grazing food chain? See, if the food chain is beginning with the green plant and the producer, then it is known as a grazing food chain. But when it is starting with some kind of dead organic matter or decaying animal, okay, then it is a detritus food chain. So we can see in detail, like if you see this grazing food chain, है ना? So you have this autotroph, okay, these are the plants. Then it is eaten by the caterpillar or zooplankton. Then again caterpillar is eaten by the lizard or the fish, and then the lizard is eaten by the snake and the fish by the pelican. Okay. So this was the terrestrial and this was the aquatic. So you can say this is a grazing food chain. And why this is a grazing food chain? Because the starting consumption is the green plants in both the terrestrial and the aquatic system. Terrestrial में we can see plant है, plant is eaten by caterpillar, then caterpillar is eaten by lizard, then lizard is again eaten by the snake. So this is the terrestrial one. Now aquatic में you can see phytoplankton is eaten by zooplankton, then zooplankton by fish, and the fish is eaten by the pelican. So you can see in both the pattern, in both this ecosystem, terrestrial and aquatic ecosystem, the starting point of consumption is green plants, that is the producers. So here it is a kind of food chain which is a grazing food chain. Okay. Now come to the detritus food chain. In detritus food chain, you can find that starting, or the consumption pattern is starting from the decaying and decomposing material like litter. Take a litter is consumed by earthworms, then earthworms consumed by chicken. Chicken is consumed by hawk, that is the top carnivore. So you can understand the difference. What is the difference between the grazing and the detritus? Grazing is starting from the producers, plant, and this plant and trees, and the detritus food chain is starting from the decaying and dead decaying material, that is the litter, then the so on, and the top carnivores, that is the hawk. Now, what is the distinction between these two food chains? Okay. Again, we have already discussed that the distinction is the starting material. Okay. Starting one is primary sources. In grazing, it is living plant, and in this detritus, it is dead organic matter. So that is the basic difference. Now, next is food chain. Up, that next is food web. As we have already discussed the food chain, food chain is not practically, a feasible condition, but just to understand, make things easy to understand, we have discussed food chain. But in reality, it is not possible that, mostly the ecosystem is like more developed, more, dependent on the food web. Okay, mostly you will find the food web, not the food chain. Why? Because see, a food chain represents what? Only one part of the food or energy flow, okay, through an ecosystem, and implies a simple isolated relation which seldom occurs in the ecosystems, right? An ecosystem may consist of several interrelated food chains. Okay, like more typically, the same food resource is part of more than one chain. Like you can say that a food web is illustrating what? It is all possible transfers of energy and nutrients among the organisms in an ecosystem. Whereas what is a food chain? It traces only one pathway. ठीक है, one pathway आपने देखा था. जैसे कि अगर हम इसको बात करें कि plant is consumed by caterpillar consumed by lizard consumed by snake. So this is what? This is a food chain. So एक क्या है? एक one part है केवल. It's a one pathway. But here you can see this is what? This is a food web of grassland ecosystem with 5 possible food chain. है ना? So it is not dependent only upon the one chain, one path, but several different paths you can see. है ना? So in that way you can understand it's a complex system. Food web is a complex system, where the food chain is a simple system. Now, in food chain, if we are depending on the food chain, now in case of food chain, not in case of food web, in case of food chain, successive links of the chain will be affected largely if one intermediate food chain is removed. Okay, but it's not so in the case of food web, because there are several alternatives for the consumption pattern. So that is the difference. Okay. Now we come to the ecological pyramid. This is also very important from the point of view of your examination. Ecological pyramid, like it's just a step of trophic level that is simply expressed in diagrammatic way. Okay, and that is why, because it is in the diagrammatic manner, it is known as ecological pyramid. Up, see, the food producer forms the base of the pyramid. Like if we say in the case of grazing, we have green plant. Okay, then and the top carnivore forms the tip, like hawk. Okay, up other consumer traffic levels are in between the the base of the pyramid, that is the producer, and the tip of the pyramid, that is the top carnivore. A pyramid are consist of number of horizontal bars, okay, and each horizontal bar is depicting specific trophic levels. Okay, and the length of each bar represents the total number of individuals, okay, at each trophic level in an ecosystem. Up the number, biomass and energy. See, there are 3 types of ecological pyramids: pyramid of numbers, pyramid of biomass, and the pyramid of energy or productivity. Pyramid of numbers. So this deals with the relationship between the numbers of primary producers and consumers of different levels. It is a graphic representation of the total number of individuals of different species belonging to each trophic level in an ecosystem. Then, okay, so again, pyramid of numbers, we can have it upright as well as inverted. When it will be upright in the case of grassland ecosystem. Okay, or what happen here it is in this pyramid, the number of individuals is decreased from lower to higher trophic level. As you can see in this, that it is producers which are surplus in number, greater in number, and as we are moving upward in the trophic level of herbivores, it is like birds. Then again we are moving upward in the higher trophic level, then these are the rats which are less than number as compared to birds. Then again snakes which are lesser than rats, and again this eagle or kite which is top carnivore, hawk which is the top carnivore, again very few in number as compared to the snake. So we can see we have an what kind of this pyramid of numbers, upright. But in case of let's say this second one, pyramid of numbers, that is inverted, here the source is greater than the tip. Okay, so in this condition, in this case, in this pyramid, the number of individuals is increased from lower level to higher level. Okay, like in the case of forest, you can see you would have a small number of large producers, for example few number of big trees. Okay, so here we can see this is the forest ecosystem, few big trees are there in number. Then when we are moving upward, there is herbivores, birds which are greater than number when compared to producer. And again when we move upward in the trophic level, then it is parasites which are again greater than the birds. And the next is hyperparasites, which is again greater than the number of parasites. So we are getting the inverted pyramid of numbers. But we find that because it is not mentioning the size and all, so it is not the exact, it is not giving the complete picture. So that is why to just overcome this limitation, we have the second way, that is pyramid of biomass. Here we are just measuring the dry weight, not the wet weight. So that should be noted. We are measuring the dry weight of the biomass, and we are accordingly drawing the pyramid. Like upward pyramid of biomass in the case of grazing, like producers, you can see herbivores, primarivore, carnivore. So you can see ki here it is a upright pyramid of biomass, because plants, if you take the dry weight, then these are 1000 kg. Then again when it is we are coming to the next herbivores of dry weight is 100 kg. Then again next dry weight 10 kg carnivore, and next dry weight is 1 kg top carnivore. So here we are getting upright pyramid of biomass. Okay. Now when it is inverted in the case of aquatic ecosystem. Why? Because when we are taking producers, so this dry weight is 4 gram per meter square only. Then herbivore, fishes ka weight, if we are taking dry weight, then it is greater than producer, that is it is 8 gram per meter square. Again top carnivore mein fishes are there which are greater in this weight, that is 12 gram per meter square. Okay, so this is the dry weight we are talking about. So this is we can see ki this pyramid of numbers and pyramid of biomass, both we can have upward and inverted pyramid. But in case of pyramid of energy, we are only having this pyramid in the upright manner. Okay, you can see pyramid of energy, producers, then we are moving upward, then it is primary consumer. Okay, so 100 kilocalorie, then again secondary consumers 10 kilocalorie, and the tertiary is 1 kilocalorie, beyond which the energy cannot be transferred. As you know, these green plants are consuming energy directly from the sun. So their energy level is very high, that is 1000 kilocalorie. But if we are following this law of thermodynamics of 10%, and only 10% is reaching to the top, then if we just reduce the 10%, we are getting 100 kilocalorie in the primary. Then again we are cutting it by 10%, then again we are getting 10 kilocalorie, and again we are reducing 10%, then we are getting 1 kilocalorie. So we can see that only it is in the form of upright. We cannot get a inverted pyramid of energy in any case. So this was all about. Okay, so we just try to divide this chapter in 3 parts for the better understanding. So we have discussed this the pyramid level. Now in next video we will be discussing this pollutants and trophic level and the other segments as well. So okay, thank you very much.